What's going on, everybody? Cowboys C3. If if the city, of Dallas was frustrated with the trade of Luka Doncic, this might be just as bad. And I thought that, you know, Dallas traded a superstar player for the Mavericks traded a superstar player for next to nothing. This is 8 months ago. Traded a superstar player for next to nothing. I never would, and Jerry kind of got off the limelight of being the bad guy in Dallas. Well, welcome back, welcome back. And hell no, I'm not no Eagles fan. Let's talk about this shit, man. Let's talk about it right here next, man, on Cowboy Spit.
Here we go! Yeah, here we go! Wait, take
Cowboy Spit.
Throws back of the end zone. There's CeeDee Lamb.
What's going on, everybody? Cowboy C3. Cowboys have officially traded Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for a compensation package of 2026 and 2027 first-round picks and three-time Pro Bowler Kenny Clark, defensive tackle, nose tackle. Who's a good player, don't get me wrong. Cowboys needed a true zero. They got one. Kenny Clark is an excellent player. 6'2", 6'3", 320 pounds, man. Good football player. Excellent nose tackle. Will do the Cowboys some good. But I truly and honestly believe, and this is my own personal opinion, I truly and honestly believe that this is what happens when you buck the system. This is what happens when you go against the grain. This is what happens when you tell Jerry he's full of shit. You got to get out. I'm not so sure that you trade arguably the face of your franchise. Sure, Dak Prescott is the quarterback, $60 million man, whatever. But the heart and soul of the team, face of the franchise, has been Micah Parsons. Defense absolutely sucked ass last year when he got hurt and he came back. The defense improved tremendously towards the end of the season. And how do you replace that? You get a nose tackle. I got it. But you don't replace it this year. I guess you start in 2026. I would have to really go and do a lot of research on Green Bay. I know they play in a pretty tough division, a division with with the Detroit Lions. But are they going to be a playoff team? I mean, they're always a wild card team or something. You're talking about a middle to anywhere from 15 to 20 pick, for a couple of seasons. Does he make Green Bay better? Hell yeah, he makes them better. Do they need more help than Micah Parsons? Of course they do. But they get a star defensive end, a player that is very familiar with the Cowboys, and you got to play him late this season, man. You talk about being hyped. Dude is going to be out of control when they play. So Isaac said Dez caught it. Yeah, he did catch it. So he's gone. He got his money. He got paid. Biggest non-quarterback contract ever in NFL history. He was signed a 4-year, $188 million deal with $136 million guaranteed that would make him the highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history of $47 million a year. So congratulations to Micah Parsons for the Cowboys. Donovan Ezeraku, the rookie defensive end, maybe he turns out to be a really good player. You get Sam Williams back. You got Marshawn Nealon. I mean, you've got some defensive ends on the team that can get after the quarterback. Dante Fowler's here again. You've got some ends that can get after the quarterback, but they're not Micah Parsons. They're not going to get after the quarterback like that. you know, it's one of those things where your owner went against the grain, had a conversation with the player, didn't want to involve his agent. The agent, and in Jerry's mind, they offered him, from what I read on here, it was $128 million guaranteed, and it was going to be around $40.8 million a year. That's what the Cowboys offered him. I don't think it was the offering of the contract. I think it was the way that it was handled after what Jerry considered to be the negotiations to be over. I believe that that's what happened. Like I said, and this is my own personal opinion. The situation was not handled well at all, to the point to where your star defensive player said that he wanted to be traded, and he got his wish. He's traded. He's going to Green Bay, a team that you haven't been able to beat, and you got to play him again this year, which that's tough. But he's not in the division. You won't have to play him again for a while, hopefully, unless you see him maybe in the playoffs. Hope maybe, who knows? But yeah, that's a tough blow. I'm just not so sure you get rid of the heart and soul of your defense. This is something that you could have sat down in a room, and I don't know if that happened or not. You could have sat down in a room together. Of course, you involved the agent, and you guys hashed this out, and you sign a contract, and he comes on the field and he plays against Philadelphia. I think the ego plays a lot in this. You have a strong will person in Micah Parsons, and you have a humongous ego with your owner, Jerry Jones. He likes to be the center of attention. And if you start to buck at the center of attention, or you start to make the center of attention feel like he's not the center of attention, this is what you get. You got to get the fuck out. So it is what it is, man. He's gone. He'll be a Green Bay Packer at least until 2029. Um, if anybody wants to call in, I'll open up the phone lines. You can give your opinions. Don't, whatever. Don't care. Speak your mind. There haven't really got any reactions from the team yet. I'm interested to see what players like Trayvon Diggs have to say. I'm interested to see what the quarterback has to say. Because guaranteed, when they play the Green Bay Packers, I think it's either week 4 or week 5, you can almost guarantee he's gonna be on Dak's ass, boy. He gonna make Dak pay the price, guaranteed. This is tough. This is a surprise. It's shocking. But then again, at the same time, maybe it's expected. When you're dealing with a person that is has to be the center of attention. Some people would call it maybe narcissism. I don't know what you really call it, but when you're dealing with the person that is in control of a franchise, that likes to be the center of the franchise, the face of the franchise, it's never really truly going to be a player, because the owner, or a coach, because the owner will never let it be that way. I truly and honestly believe that this is the reason also that the Cowboys will never have a really, really strong head coach in their organization, because the head coach he may not agree with the owner's plans, right? He may not agree with what the owner has in his mind, what the team should do. And it is pretty clear to me, and other people, that if you are on the same page or going down that same path that he wants you to go, then you can leave and get out. And I've said this a lot of times on this show. If you are, sorry, my phone is absolutely blowing up. If it is hard to tell a person that they are losing, right? When you have such a profit gain the way that the Dallas Cowboys have had. Jerry bought the team for, 136 million. Team is worth arguably now 12 to anywhere from 12 to 15 billion. it is extremely hard to tell this man that he is losing because his pockets don't say that. Herschel Walker 2.0. You know, and that's what you hope for, Isaac. That's exactly what you hope for, that you can get two tremendous players out of this deal. They'll be first round picks, whether they're high picks or low picks. You get two first round picks, and one of these guys, or maybe both of them, turn out to be, all world players. That's what you hope for. And, it may work. It might. He said, I'm sorry, man. I've been on here for the last, since training camp started, saying that they needed to get this done. And I did not think that he would be traded. As a matter of fact, probably 2 episodes ago, I put on here where Jerry said that Micah Parsons will be a Cowboy for the next 3 years because of the last year of the contract, the 5th-year option, and then the franchise tag. Because that's what he said. He said that to Stephen A. Smith like a week ago, whenever this documentary dropped. Yeah, however long it was ago it dropped. Um, that obviously wasn't the case. There obviously something was going on behind closed doors that we aren't privy to that information. And it was something that they felt like that they couldn't come to an agreement to, and the best thing for him to do was to be, on another team. And you know, I'm I'm not a big fan of trading him to Green Bay strictly because I don't like Green Bay, and the Cowboys haven't been able to beat Green Bay in a while, in a long time, and they just get more firepower. It's like it's become like a mini rivalry, if you will, and it's just one of those games that the Cowboys can't seem to win. And once again, you have to play them this season, right? Because that's the division that you play, and you play the NFC North this year, and his ass will be running right in here, chasing Dak Prescott all around the field. Like, this time he don't have to pull up because Dak ain't gonna have on no red jersey. He can bust his ass if he want to. And with these issues that the Cowboys offensive line is having, yeah, it could be a field day. Taylor Swift is pissed. Jerry took the limelight. You ain't lying. He did take he I'm telling you, man, he is gonna find a way to make a splash. He is gonna find a way to put his name in the newspaper. And that's just Jerry. I mean, that's been Jerry for the last 30 years. Um, Somebody just sent me a text message. Do I think that the Cowboys got enough? It's 2 first round picks, and it's a 3-time Pro Bowl player. That's fantastic, but I can that make up for Micah Parsons? It definitely has a possibility to do it in the future. If you use the picks wisely, you know. Um, Maybe you take your 2 first round picks and trade up. Maybe you feel like your quarterback is getting up there in age, or you feel like that he can't take you over the hump. And maybe Arch Manning comes out this year and he's all world, and you take 2 of them first round picks and you trade them and you try to trade up to maybe get another quarterback. Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. Um, yeah, I don't know what you do. I really don't. I don't know what's gonna happen. Only thing that I know right now is that Micah Parsons just got traded, and we play Philly next week. That's what I know. Pretty tough. Um, the defense, I asked the question in the description of this show. Do the Cowboys does the Cowboys defense suffer because of the loss of their star player? Hell yeah, they suffer. Yeah, they do. One thing that does happen though is that, with Kenny Clark coming into the picture, right? It does kind of show up the middle of your defense. It does. It all of a sudden it doesn't look that bad. It doesn't. What does this mean for a player like Mozzie Smith? A player that's probably on the bubble of on the cusp of not making the roster. He was probably a bubble guy. You know what I'm saying? What does that do for him? Does that move him down to the practice squad to make room? I don't know. I don't know. It definitely pushes him down into the rotation. That's for sure. Because Kenny Clark is going to start right away. he will be on the field first down against Philly. Guaranteed. I don't know, man. It's and to be honest, man, it looks the defensive tackle rotation all of a sudden got pretty good with Oseo Digizua, Solomon Thomas, and now Kenny Clark. That looks pretty good. That kind of solidified the middle of your defense. So in that aspect of it, the middle is not that bad. If you've got to start double teaming Kenny Clark, right? Maybe that does free up one of these defensive ends. Dante Fowler had 12 sacks last year. That's not terrible at all, right? It maybe it frees up some of the defense. There's some positives that you can take from this, but the immediate reaction to it is that you just lost the face of your franchise, and that's tough. That's really tough. I just missed a phone call. My bad. If a caller, whoever it was, call back. Yeah. So I a little shocking to me because I really thought that this would be something that it was kind of going down that Jerry track, if you will, where Jerry will ridicule a player, say things about him in the media, kind of make little jokes about, Zeke who, whatever. And then you go behind closed doors and you end up signing a big ass contract, and then you come out and everything is good. But obviously Michael Parsons wasn't playing that shit. And to be honest with you, I don't really blame him. I said it. I believe it was in my last episode that all this game playing, and it was time for that shit to stop. You know what I mean? Like, let's stop playing games. He put an end to it. Obviously, it was a point of no return for him. And he clearly stated that he didn't want to be here, or he bucked the system hard enough to where Jerry said, "Okay, that enough is enough. You're not finna bruise my ego. You can go elsewhere." And it is what it is, man. That's where we're at. Michael Parsons traded to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks, 26, 27 first-round pick, and Kenny Clark. That's where we're at. Say salute. I really feel bad for you, Cowboy fans. Jerry Jones is destroying your team. Man, Ravens, 76, Baltimore. First of all, y'all gonna have a hell of a team this year, man. I've been really paying attention to the Ravens. They gonna be rough. It's been this way, for us Cowboy fans that have been. I've been a Cowboy fan since I was born. Like I told a story a long time ago, man. The first picture that I ever took was with an orange Nerf football laying on a Cowboy rug. My grandfather had season tickets, and my dad had season tickets when the Cowboys played in the Cotton Bowl. Went through Texas Stadium, went through games, had my first drink at a Cowboy game. I, AT&T, me and my brother still go watch Cowboy games to this day. I love the Cowboys. Been loving them my whole life. It's part of the reason that I wanted to do this, because I'm on the group podcast. Group podcast has a whole bunch of followers, right? We got a lot of followers, probably 35, 40,000 followers. But I always talk about the Cowboys, and it kept pushing me. You should do a Cowboy show. You should do a Cowboy show. And I do this shit because I love the Cowboys, and I love football, and I love the Cowboys. And that's the only reason I do it. If I had 4 followers, or if I had 290 followers, however many I got now, I've been doing it for a year. I just got the year thing on my YouTube studio. Congratulations for being on YouTube for a year. I love the Cowboys. I'm a true fan, right? But I'm also a realistic fan. And Jerry been fucking this up since he fired Jimmy. It hasn't changed, right? Sure, Barry Switzer run a Super Bowl after Jimmy left, but that was Jimmy's team. We all knew it was Jimmy's team, and that shit started to fall apart, and Barry kicked rocks, you know what I mean? And it's been downhill ever since. And it's not going to change until the attitude changes, until the ego changes, until we come to the realization that it's not just my way or the highway. And all these other teams have figured this shit out. You got to have a good coach. You got to have a good coaching staff, and you got to have the Cowboys always put players on the field And Nick Saban said it the best. He said, good players can't overcome bad coaching. And it's always the same with the Cowboys. Every time they get into a playoff game where it really means something, when the checkerboard goes away and the chessboard comes out, the Cowboys look fucking lost. They do it every year, right? And I made comments on Facebook not too long ago, well, maybe a couple years ago, and people always still tease me about it to this day. I said, being a Cowboy fan is like watching your dog. You love this dog, and you watch him run across the street every Sunday in practice. In traffic. And you don't know whether your dog is going to make it across the street or not. And his ass get rolled over, by a damn truck, and he survives. And then the next Sunday he does the same shit. And it's been like that over and over again. It's just uncertainty. That's the way it always has been since I was in the 8th grade, the last time they won a Super Bowl till now. That's the way it's been. And it's not going to change until the upper management of the Dallas Cowboys change their ways. That's the only time that this will ever change. You got to have a good coach. You got to have a good coaching staff, and you got to have an owner that just stays the fuck out of the way and collects his riches. The crazy part about this whole thing to me is that if you really wanted your team to gain popularity, right, which the Dallas Cowboys are arguably the most popular franchise in the world, right, the most popular sports franchise in the world, there's just as many people that tune in to watch the Cowboys lose as there are to win, right? No matter what you tuning in. Sports shows, everybody always talking about the Cowboys. Stephen A. Smith is from Philadelphia or somewhere, never played a down of football in his life, but his main focus is just to hate the Cowboys during football season. It's always like that. And could you imagine if Jerry just took a step back and hired a big time head coach and let them make all the decisions and got a GM and the Cowboys started winning? The things that would happen to the team would probably go through the roof. You have a very talented roster. You keep a talented roster, right? Cowboys always have talent on their roster. You arguably have the best receiving core, the best receiving duo in the NFL. You have a all-pro wide receiver and a young wide receiver that is just waiting to break through. He played on the team where he never really had a quarterback. And Dak Prescott is a decent quarterback. I don't give a fuck how you feel about him, if you hate him or whatever, but he's a good quarterback, right? Can he bring the Cowboys over the hump? Hell no, because there's nothing that ever says that no quarterback can bring the Cowboys over the hump. Nobody can. So you can always blaming Dak Prescott for everything, man. I think that shit is juvenile, because the Dallas Cowboys, I don't give a fuck who's at quarterback. You can have prime Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Deion Sanders over at the corner. They don't have anybody that can bring it together. They don't have anybody that can make a game plan. Brian Schottenheimer, he's never done it before. Maybe he's the change. I don't know. But for the last 30 years, they've never had that, right? You either have this as a head coach or you have this. You never have anybody drawing up plays like that and shit, man. They don't have that. And the reason that they don't have that is because the owner won't allow it. He won't, because you'll take the limelight off him. And if you take the limelight off him, then, my ego is going to get in the way. And I'll get rid of your ass too. So I believe that's what happened here. Micah Parsons, strong-willed dude. You know what I mean? He's got all this stuff going on. He's got podcasts going on. He's got all kind, laying on tables, all kind of stuff. And it's too much attention, right? It's a lot of attention. And all this could have been rectified, right, if you went about it the right way. You invited a dude to the Big 12 championship game in your box, and it was just you and him having a conversation. Why don't you invite him and the agent, and y'all have a good time, have a great conversation, fix this contract shit, and this would have never happened. But I got to do it my way. I have to do it my way. You know what I mean? And this is what it turns into. This is what it turns into. You start losing star players. They don't even want to be here no more. Who's next? Who's next? If you are a big-time free agent in the NFL, do you want to come to Dallas and deal with this shit? If I'm out here busting my ass for your organization, I don't need to be ridiculed to get paid. Just give me my fucking money, man. That's it. You make a whole lot of money. a whole lot of money. You got enough money to pay me. Just give my money. I don't need to be ridiculed in the news. I don't need none of that shit. Just pay me. Pay me what I'm worth. It is what it is, man. Larry says Chicago got more for Khalil Mack. He said, not the Jerry Clown face. Man, come on, man. It is what it is, man. Down. It is what it is. I mean, this is just how it goes in Dallas. And to be honest with you, man, Cowboy fans, we sick of it, but it should be something that you're used to. This is nothing new. This is probably just the first time where the player was just like, man, I'm not finna do this shit. You crazy as hell. You're not finna sit here and insult me and think that I'm gonna just sit here and take it. You're gonna give me a little bit of money because every time that dude walk in the room, you got to look at him. You be like, man, fuck that dude. Even though he signed my check, man, fuck that dude. And I'm sure that's how people feel. You know, it is what it is, though. I mean, I'm just being honest. That's it. Yeah, you're right, Larry. It is a dang shame. Absolutely, just is what it is. So, Cowboys trade Micah Parsons uh, to the Green Bay Packers. For some couple picks, first round picks, which is good for them, and they make their defensive line better. Who knows? Maybe, like I said, maybe Kenny Clark comes in and dominates the middle. I mean, he's been pretty dominant in Green Bay. He comes in, he dominates the middle, constantly, warranting a double team, right? And it frees up some of these defensive ends, and maybe you don't miss him that much. But right now, like for the last 4 seasons, Micah Parsons has been the heart and soul of the Dallas Cowboy defense. When he's good, he's good. When he's bad, he's bad. So happy for Michael. Fuck Jerry. Hey, yeah, you're not the only one in that boat either. You know, but maybe it does. Maybe it makes the defense better. Maybe it makes it more well-rounded. Maybe it makes it more balanced, right? Um, Maybe it makes it harder for teams to run the ball against the Cowboys, which would be a good thing. And maybe you had to get rid of Micah Parsons to bring that type of player in here. Maybe so. I don't know. We're about to find out, though, in about 7 days from now. We're about to find out against a run-heavy football team. About to find out. But anyway, um, we'll still come on Saturday, and do our show. I'll. What's funny is that I was planning a show where it said, if he is 30, he's 29, yeah, but to be big in the middle, you can be 40. You know what I'm saying? All I need you to do is be big in the middle and not let these running backs pop off 5, 6. Just close some gaps. Do your job. Play the zero and occupy the center and the guard and let everybody else eat. Let these linebackers eat. I'm kind of a fan of the Cowboy linebacker core. I kind of am. I like Jack Sanborn. He sticks his head in there and makes a lot of plays. I really like the linebacking core once Overshown gets healthy and can run around and do what he was doing. May not do it to the same effect that he was doing last year. Maybe he's a year away from that, but he's effective for sure, right? He is. But, you know, I did, but anyway, I did a a schedule prediction, for the Cowboys. I did one with Micah Parsons and without Micah Parsons. I guess I need to just go redo my whole thing, but it's all good. It'll be ready by Saturday. We'll come back on here. We'll do the schedule prediction then. Yeah, it is what it is. This one bothers me. I'm a Micah Parsons fan. I know that he's outspoken. I know that his podcast is crazy. I watch it all the time. Um, and I know that he has some true friends here, and I'm sure friendships don't end just because you go play in another city. It's just like in the Navy, like if you transfer to another command, the friendships don't end, right? But you're not teammates no more. You're not going to battle anymore together. And I'm sure he'll do a good job in Green Bay. Sure he'll do an excellent job in Green Bay. He's a very good football player. But, Just he won't be doing what he was doing before with the Dallas Cowboys. And, you know, hey, maybe he turns Green Bay around and they go do really big things. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, I'm at 30 minutes, man. That's my show. I'm about to go sit over here on the couch and soak for a minute. I'm just joking, man. It's disappointing, but like I said, man, it's something that I'm really kind of me personally, I'm really kind of used to it with the Cowboys. It's disappointment, and maybe that this time it changes. I can see where this can make the Cowboys better here in a year or two. There's a possibility, as long as you get a good pick, as long as you make a good pick for it. Make good use of the picks that you got from Green Bay. You know, but you got a true defensive, you got a true nose guard now. You have, it definitely helps the middle of your defense, which was a weak point, right? You just had to get rid of your all pro player to do it. I guess. It is what it is, man. On to the next. Cowboys will still be the Cowboys. Man Down Sports said Cowboys will be fine. Yeah, maybe so. I hope so. I do. I hope so. I hope so. I think that maybe it's that they won't be as dynamic. But maybe, at the same time though, just because you're dynamic doesn't mean you're just great. And Micah Parsons has disappeared in some big games too. You know, you close games, you really need a sack. Micah Parsons nowhere to be found. Or teams running Micah Parsons a whole lot, and he's not very effective against the run. So, there's that too. And for $47 million a year, you better be able to do everything. You know what I mean? Everything. But we'll see. We'll see how Green Bay use it. I'm interested to see how they use it. Super interested. But anyway, that's my show, man. Saturday we'll be back on. We'll talk about this schedule and we'll talk about the lineup. Yeah, 47 million is insane, man. That's a lot of money for a player that is not a quarterback. That's a lot of money. With TJ Watt make 42, $5 million a year over TJ Watt. That's a lot of money, man. A lot of money. But anyway, Saturday we'll talk about the schedule. We'll start talking a little bit about Philly. Next week, I'm trying to solidify a guest. She's got a big time Philly podcast in the Philadelphia area. Humongous Philadelphia Eagles fan. And we did a show together last year, trying to get her on here to do Wednesday's podcast pregame and see how she sees this matchup going. And then Thursday, right after the game, we'll go live, win or lose, and we'll just see what happens, man. We'll check it out. All right, man. Cowboys C3. Once again, Cowboys trade Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. Yeah, we'll see how that works out. All right, Cowboys C3, man. Y'all have a great night. I will see y'all on Saturday. All right, peace.